Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Yeah, it is done.
Done, right? Okay. Right. So next one, we are going to see some compound data structures. Okay. So let's have first one is list and tuple. That is combination of list and tuples. Okay. So consider I have some data structure like this. That is list of tuples. Okay. LST of TUP. So in this, it's a list, and in this, each and every element is a tuple. That is nothing but list of tuples. Okay. Let's write name Justin and then location Bangalore. So if I want to write anything else, okay, so let's say list of tuples. Okay, that is if I want to write, if I want to add any other tuple, it is possible. We can add it, right? So now I have only two tuples inside this. If I want to add some more detail to this, I can say list of tuple dot append. I can say salary, comma 5,000. So now you can see after append, you can just see this one. That is now I will be having three tuples. That is name is Justin, location is Bangalore, and sal is 5,000. Okay. Now whenever I have in this format, that is whenever I have a list, inside list I have some tuples like this, and each and every tuple has only two elements in it. Then it can be easily converted to dictionary. Convert to dictionary. That is, I can say DC is equal to DICT of LST of tuples. So now if I print dictionary, you can see the output. Okay, that is index 0 will become a key, index 1 will become a value. You can see here name is Justin, location is Bangalore, and sal is 5,000. Now consider I have some three values over here. There is sal, comma 5,000, comma 6,000 like this. Now in this tuple, I have three elements in this. So if it is there, I can't convert to dictionary because it will give me the error. See, we can add the tuple to list. It's not a problem at all. I can add the tuple to the list, no problem. But when I try to convert to dictionary, I will be getting the error saying dictionary update sequence element 2 has length 3, only 2 is required. So, but for example, if I have like this, now there is only two elements, right, Ajmal? There is sal and second element is list, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, what will happen? We are able to convert to dictionary. That is, sal will contain dictionary as the element. So basically, if you want to convert list of tuples to dictionary, you should have only two elements in each and every tuple. All right. So this is nothing but list of tuples. Now let's talk about tuple of list. Okay, tuple of list. Let's say tuple of list. So now let's write tuple of list is equal to, see, just a variable name. You can have any name. Okay, that is inside a tuple I have list 1 and then I have list 2. Okay, let me write name, comma, location, and then I can write Davis, comma, Chennai, like this. Okay, name, comma, location, and then Davis, comma, Chennai. So now if I print this, okay, tuple of list, so I can just say tup of LST. So now you can see the output like this. That is name, comma, location, and then Davis, comma, Chennai, like this. So now each and every element is a list. Okay, now I can't add more elements to tuple. That is, I can't add one more list to the tuple. That is not at all possible because tuple is immutable. Now, if I want to add, okay, one more element to this particular list, okay, I can't do like this. That is, for example, if I say tuple of list of 0 is equal to name, comma, location, comma, cell. This is not at all possible, because whenever you use equal to symbol, the reference of this particular list will be updated. That is, this element will be deleted and the new reference will be created. So in this case, I can't do anything. You can see tuple object doesn't support item assignment. I can't assign it like this. But if I want to modify this particular list, that is, if I use append, right? See, whenever I use append, the reference will not be modified basically. Okay, only the values within the list will be modified. So I can say sal. That is, look at this, print id. I can just say id before append. Okay, id of tuple of list of 0. Okay, and then let me print id after this. Okay, let's say id after append. So before append and after append, this will not modify the reference basically. You can see it's just the same reference. Okay, it is just the same reference actually, right? So we are not going to modify the reference. We are just changing the values here. That is, values within the list. So this reference will not be modified. Okay, so similarly, I can write tuple of list of 1 dot append of 5000. So now if I print, okay, after append, okay, I can just print tuple of list. So this tuple will still contain only 2 elements only. So now you can see name, location, salary, and then Davis, Chennai 5000. Got it, Ajmal? Clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now consider, now here it is in different format, right? That is, in one list I have something like a list of columns. In another list I have something like list of values. So if I want to take it in the form of pair, that is, I want to print like this, name and then Davis, then location and then Chennai, and then salary and then 5000. I want to print in this format. So in this case, what can I do is, I can just use zip function. Okay, this is not a compression function. Okay, so this is used to traverse the iterable objects parallelly. Okay, traverse the iterable objects parallelly. That is, I can say for element in zip of, here I can have any number of iterable objects. There is no limit in that. Okay, so first I'm going to have tuple of list of 0, comma, tuple of list of 1. Okay, tuple of list of 0 and then tuple of list of 1. All right, and then now if I print this element, based on the index it will be mapped. You can see name Davis, index 0 from first list, index 0 from second list, name Davis. Then location Chennai, index 1, index 1. Salary 5000, index 2, index 2. Got it? So it is not mandatory that we should include only 2 iterable objects. So now string is also iterable objects, right? So I can say A, B, C. Now what will happen? This will produce the tuple of 3 elements. All right. So now you can see name Davis A, location Chennai B, salary 5,000 C. And it is not mandatory that you should always the same length actually. See, this tuple of list of 0 has length 3, tuple of list of 1 has length 3. So let me have only 2 length over here. That is, I am just having AB. So in this case, what will happen is it will take the minimum length out of all the iterable objects. What is the minimum length? This is 3, this is 3, this is 2. So it will consider only 2 iterations in this. That is, salary will be avoided. So salary 5,000 because I don't have third element in this. Okay, look at this, only 2 elements will be iterated. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, take it down.
I'm getting an error. Dictionary update sequence element #0 has length 10. 2 is required.
See, the thing is, whatever tuple that you have, you should have just a length of 2.
Okay.
Okay, so do one thing, share your screen. Let me just make you as a presenter. Yeah. Okay.
Run it once.
Yes. Element 0 has. Okay. See, you forgot to have comma in between name and destination.
Oh, okay.
Because it will be considered as a single string actually. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Stop sharing it. Yes, I will be sharing my screen now. Yes. Hello, Ajman, you there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now we'll talk about dictionary of list. Okay. Okay. So I'm just creating. One Python script which talks about dictionary of list. That is, for each and every key, the value is a list. Okay. So I can write dictionary of list. So let's say emp is equal to, okay, within dictionary, I'm going to have 3 fields, that is employee ID, which holds a dictionary, and employee name, which holds another dictionary, and employee location, which holds another dictionary. Okay. Now we are going to get the input from the user, and we are going to add those things to the list. All right. So let's say get the input from the user. Okay. So I'm just saying for n in range of let's say 1, 4. So if I say range of 1, 4, it will iterate the same set of statements for 3 times because I have given 1, 4. So it will take values as 1, 2, and then 3. Right. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just saying like employee ID is equal to input of enter employee ID, something like this, and then I can say format of n, that is enter employee ID 1. Okay. Then similarly, I can give it for e name and then ELOC. These are all variables. These are all values. Okay. So this is nothing but employee name, and this is nothing but employee location. Now we have received the input from the user. Now add it to the dictionary. So now how can I add it to the dictionary? So basically, if I want to access this particular list, I have to say employee of EID, right? So I can say EMP of EID. Basically, this is a list, right? And then I can say dot append of EID. So whatever I have retrieved from the user, I have just added it to the dictionary. And similarly, I can say employee of EID, sorry, ename dot append of ename, then employee of ELOC dot append of ELOC. Okay, now add it. Now record is added, so I can say print record something added, and then I can say format of n. So it will display record 1 added, record 2 added, record 3 added, like that. All right, then now we have added the dictionary. Okay, that is now we have created the dictionary. So now we are going to display this operation, that is select star from EMP. That means we are going to display all the records basically, like in this record format. So for that, what we can do, so okay, first let me display how it is getting displayed. Okay, let's say for column or else k comma v in emp dot items. Remember the items method. Okay, and then I can just display k and then hyphen and then v. So we are just displaying all the records one by one. All right, and then now let's see Python dictionary of list. So enter employee ID 1. Okay, so I have to give some space. Let me give something like this, space. Okay, see here, enter employee ID 1. Okay, so I can write 1 name 1 L1 2 N2 L2 3 N3 L3. So now you can see it is displaying in this format, like EID is nothing but all list actually. Okay, excuse me, Ajmal, I'm getting a call. Excuse me. Okay, so now we have EID. It's a list of employee IDs. Okay, and then ename, list of names, and then eLocation, list of location. So now if you see the first record, it's all index 0. If you see the second record, it's all index 1. If you want to see the third record, it is nothing but index 2. So if I want to display all the records, okay, one after another, okay, if I want to display all the records, okay, one after another, I can say for element, or let's say for record in zip of, okay, I can have any number of this thing, right? Employee of EID, comma, employee of ename, comma, employee of ELOC, and then print record, and then I can give record like this. So now you can see the output. Okay, 1 N1 L1, 2 N2 L2, 3 N3 L3. Now you can see in the form of records here. That is 1 L1 L1, 2 N2 L2, and then 3 N3 L3. Okay, so if I want to retrieve all the records, I can just use zip. I can just use zip basically. Now consider I want to retrieve, that is, I want to ask the user to enter some employee ID. Based on the input from the user, I can display the employee details. Okay, So for that, what I can do, first I can say there is retrieve the details of particular employee ID. Okay, first let's get from the user. Okay, while true, all right, while true, let's get the from the user, like EID is equal to input of enter employee ID. All right, so now if the user is not entering employee ID, then come out of the loop. Okay, if the user is not entering any employee ID as an input, just come out of the loop. That's it. Okay, if the user enters some employee ID, first check for the existence of employee ID. How can I check for the existence? That is whether this employee ID is present in this particular list or not. I can use membership operator, right? I can say if EID in employee of EID. I'm just making a check. That is, I am checking if employee ID is present in employee of EID. So if it is present, what should I do is, okay, what should I do is, I should retrieve the index, that is position, where that particular employee exists. Okay, whether it is in index 0, it is in index 1, it is in index 2. So if I retrieve that position, I can easily use the same position. I can retrieve these name and location, right? So first I can say, okay, first I can say the index is equal to, okay, employee of EID dot index of EID. That is, I am retrieving the position of this particular EID. So once I retrieve this, what can I do? I can say ename is equal to employee of ename. So whenever I say employee of ename, what will happen? It will retrieve the complete list, right? It will retrieve the complete list actually. In this, I want to retrieve only the particular index. For example, if I want to retrieve this one, okay, then I can say on top of it EID. Okay, on top of it, sorry, index, on top of it index. Okay, similarly for E location, I can say employee of E location and then say index. So if I want to print it, I can say first I am printing EID, then ename, then E location SCP is equal to 5. So if this particular employee ID is not present, then what can I do? I can just say invalid employee ID, try again. Okay, invalid employee ID, try again. So let me just check it out now whether it is working fine or not. So I can say 1, N1, L1, 2, N2, L2, 3, N3, L3. That is, now I have entered everything. See here, this is nothing but employee IDs, employee names, employee location, and then this is in the form of record. If I enter employee ID 1, you can see 1 N1 L1 is being retrieved. If I enter 2, 2 N2 L2. If I enter 3, 3 N3 L3. If I enter employee ID which is not at all exist, let's say 100, you can see invalid employee ID, try again. And then if I enter, it will come out. That is, if I'm not entering any input, it will break the loop, it will come out. Ajmal, clear?
Yes, that ename is equal to emp ename idx. That can you please repeat once again?
Okay. See, for example, consider that is, I have some dictionary like this. Okay, so emp of let's say name, okay, is equal to, I have something like this. Okay, Justin, Davis, and then Tris, something like this. Okay.
Mhm.
So now if I want to print employee of name, that is, it is retrieving everything,
Right.
correct? So if I want to retrieve only the first name, that is, I want to retrieve only Justin.
Okay.
Okay. In this case, I can write employee of name of 0. Okay. Now it will retrieve only Justin.
Yeah.
If I say index 1, this will retrieve Davis. If I say
Mhm.
index 2, this will retrieve Tris. Okay.
Okay.
So over here we just hard coded it, but over here
Mhm.
we have made it dynamic. That is, we are
Oh, okay.
retrieving the index and then we are just retrieving it from here.
Okay.
Got it,
Yeah.
Ajmal?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Please try it out.
Yeah. Okay. I have completed. I'm
Completed, right?
getting even if
Ah,
I'm giving correct employee ID, I'm getting invalid employee ID. I have to relive the code somewhere.
okay. So 1 second. Let me make you as a presenter.
Okay.
The thing is, you have to see, you have forgot to write some if condition in between. Okay, see 1 second. Just say Control C in the execution part.
Okay.
Control C, and then let me share my screen now.
Uh-huh.
Okay, see this one you have to see. You have to come out of this indentation block. Okay, and then you have to start new if condition.
Okay. 1 minute.
Right, Ajmal?
Not AD. Okay, I didn't give a break there, right?
You have given break,
Uh-huh.
but you didn't come out of the indentation. And then you have to give if EID in employee of EID like that.
Okay.
So because this else belongs to different if, not the same if.
Yeah, even I haven't added that if condition at all, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So that it is repeating continuously, right? That
Yes,
yeah,
yes. That is, if you are not entering any input, then it will come out.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So now let's see the next one. That is dictionary of dictionary. Okay, dictionary of dictionaries. That is, over here we'll be having a key and value is another dictionary. Okay, so let me copy the same code and then let me just paste it over here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to initialize. Okay, let me change it over here, dictionary of dictionaries. So let me initialize the empty dictionary here, because now we are going to take ID as a key. So key is dynamic. Okay, key is dynamic. All right. So now we have retrieved the values. Now we need to add, okay, that particular employee ID. So basically, our input will be looking like this. Sorry, our output will be looking like this. That is, it is a complete dictionary. In this, employee ID 1 is a key and value is another dictionary. And similarly, employee ID 2 key, value is another dictionary. And similarly, employee ID 3 and then value is another dictionary like this. And it goes on. Okay. So here inside one, I can say name N1, salary or location L1. Okay, similarly inside 2, I can write name N2 and then location L2. Okay, and then over here I can write name N3, location
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
L3. Okay, so like this we can give it. All right, so now here we have given an empty dictionary. So I should tell first this key is going to hold one dictionary, right? Then what should I do over here is employee of EID. EID is nothing but this one. The parameter, that is dynamic key, is equal to empty dictionary first. I have to let it know my employee ID is going to hold one dictionary like this. And then if I want to add name, okay, I have to say employee of one and then name. Because if I say employee of one, it retrieves the entire dictionary. So in this, I have to retrieve only one particular name actually. So I have to say in this case, employee of EID and then E name, okay, or name, anything is fine, okay, is equal to E name. And similarly, employee of EID and then location is equal to ELOC. Now we have created the dictionary like this. Now we have created the dictionary like this. So if I want to print all the records, okay, now if I want to print all the records, it is not required to give everything like this. Okay, I can just say employee ID, comma record in emp.items. So what will happen whenever we do employee.items? It will retrieve key value pair like this, right? That is 1 and then dictionary, 2 and then another dictionary, 3 and then another dictionary. So this employee ID is nothing but a key, right? So I can just print it like employee ID, then employee ID of EID and then name, then again employee ID, EID and then location. So I can say SCP is equal to 5. This is how you can retrieve all the records. If you want to retrieve only the particular records, first you can retrieve the employee ID from the user. If the user is not entering anything, then come out of the loop. Then now you have to check for the existence of employee ID. How you can check? Basically, employee ID is a key in the dictionary. So if I want to check for the existence of keys, what can I do in this case? I can just say if EID in EMP, that's it. That's it, so simple. If EID in EMP, that's it, right? Because whenever I use in operator on dictionary, okay, that means what? It will check the existence of key. If key is present, then just print everything. That's it. That is just print this. That is, retrieval is very simple in case of this one when compared to dictionary of list. That is, here I am checking if employee ID is present in EMP, then I am just retrieving this one, employee of EID and then name, employee of EID and then location. That's it. Now let's see. Now let me just execute this dictionary of dictionaries. Okay, first one is 1, N1, L1, 2, N2, L2, 3, N3, L3. Now you can see employee ID 1 is a key, value is another dictionary, 2 is a key, value is another dictionary, 3 is a key, value is another dictionary. And then we have retrieved in the form of record like 1 N1 L1, 2 N2 L2, 3 N3 L3. So if I enter 1, you can see 1 N1 L1 is being retrieved. If I enter 2, 2 N2 L2. If I enter 3, 3 N3 L3. Okay, if I enter any invalid employee ID, you can see invalid employee ID, try again. If I'm not entering any input, it will just come out. Clear, Ajmal?
Yes.
Yeah, so take it down. Then we'll move on to the next topic called comprehension. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, take it down. So yeah, you can take it from here. That is just the comment. Yeah, you can take it from here. Ajmal, done?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So shall we continue with the next one?
Yeah.
Fine. So next one is comprehension. So consider I have written some code. Okay. First, let's write some code without comprehension. It says fire is equal to some empty list, and then I'm writing for n in range of 1 comma 11. Okay, and then I'm just writing square dot append n star star 2. Then now I can say SQR is nothing but some values. Okay, some list it will produce. So what is happening here? First, I am initializing one reference, list reference, and then I'm iterating from 1 to 10. In each and every iteration, I am calculating the square of that particular number. Then I am just adding that particular value to this list. It is sqr.append. It always adds the element to the end, right? So now, if I execute this one, you can see 1 square to 10 square. So basically what we are doing here, we are just populating the list by iterating through the elements and by having some expression. And if I want to do the same thing, it is not required for me to have 3 lines of code. I can just write in a 2 lines, in a single line I can write. That is sqr underscore lc is equal to. Okay, so basically first let me explain what is the syntax. Okay, that is list comprehension produces list as the output. Now first one, you have to place the expression, that is the value which is getting populated as an element in the list, followed by iteration, on which iteration this expression needs to be calculated, and followed by condition. Okay, for example, consider I want to do this expression based on some condition. Let's say like if n percentage 3 is equal to 0 or n percentage 5 is equal to 0, only then I need to evaluate this. That means what? It will create the square of number which is divisible by 3 or divisible by 5. So now I'll be getting the output something like this, like 9, 25, 36, 81, 100. So if I want to place the condition, just place it at the end, but this is optional. It is not mandatory. If you want to have the condition, you can have. Otherwise, it is not at all required. Okay. Now let me write sqr underscore lc. If I want to write the same set of statements, that is I have 4 lines of code. Okay, if I want to write the same set of lines of code, I can just write within this. First is what? Expression. What is expression here? N star star 2, right? That is the element in the list, right? Okay, and then for n in range of 1 comma 11. So now if I print this, okay, using comprehension, okay, if I print this, you can see the output like 1 square to 10 square. See here, 1 square to 10 square actually. All right, that is, this expression will be evaluated for all the numbers present in this iteration. And if I want to have this condition, I can just place this at the end. Okay, I can have this condition at the end like this. So now what will happen? This expression will be evaluated for all the numbers in this iteration only if this condition is satisfied. So now if I execute this, you can see both are same outputs. And in place of expression, I can have any type of expression. For example, I want to have some tuple over here. Okay, I can have like n comma n square. Okay, I can have any single line expression. Okay, I can have function reference also here. Okay, so now you can see n comma n square. So if I execute this one, right, you can see the output 3 comma 9, 5 comma 25, 6 comma 36, 9 comma 81, 10 comma 100. Okay, so we can have any type of expression over here, even Boolean expression also you can have. Okay, even Boolean expression also you can have. Clear? And this is nothing but list comprehension. For dictionary comprehension, we have to do the same thing. There is no difference. Okay, there is no difference at all. Okay, there is, let's say, dictionary. So we know dictionary is enclosed in pair of curly braces, right? Dictionary is enclosed in pair of curly braces, and this expression should be in the form of what? T colon value. That's it. That's nothing but dictionary comprehension. See here. Now I can write the same expression like this. Okay, and I can take n as a key because n is unique, right? So I can take n as a key and n square as a value. So if I just execute this one, you can see 3 colon 9, 5 colon 25, 6 colon 36, 9 colon 81, 10 colon 100. So now if I print SQRDC of 5, now what will happen? I'll be getting only 25. Because 5 is a key, 25 is a value. Got it, Ajmal? Ajmal, is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, okay. So take it down, then we'll see functions.
Yeah, it is done. Mohan.
Then, right? So no doubts, right?
No.
Okay. So next one, let's have functions. Okay. So we know what is the use of functions, right? We know what is the use of functions. So basically, functions are reusable piece of component. Okay. Reusable piece of code. Okay. So in Python, if I want to define a function, what should I do is I should start with a keyword called def followed by function name. So let me validate a mobile number. All right, let me validate a mobile number, and if the function is not taking any parameter, just leave it empty parenthesis and then place colon. If the function is taking some parameters, just have like this mobile. Okay, within this just have the name of the parameter. That should be sufficient, and then you can start writing the block like status is equal to invalid. Then I can just check like if len of mobile, there is first I can check whether it should contain only numbers, right? So I can just say if mobile dot is digit. Okay, and okay, and then I can say len of mobile is equal to 10. Then I can just say status is equal to valid. So this is my function block actually. Okay, so now if I want to invoke it, I can just say return is equal to there is any variable you can have. Okay, you can have any variable name, no problem at all. Okay, is equal to validate mobile number, and then I can have some values like this. Okay, and then I'm just printing the return status. That is, it returns RET underscore status, and then type of RET underscore status. So now if I execute this, what will happen? Let's see. Python functions.py. You can see it is returning nothing. The reason behind is we don't have return statement. So if you want to return any value from the function to the caller, you should have some variable, you should have some keyword called return. Okay, so now return is nothing but, okay, it's a last executable statement. Okay, return is nothing but it's the last executable statement, and also it returns values to the user. Okay, it returns values to the user, values to the caller, we can say. So now I have the empty return statement. So in this case also it returns nothing. See here, returns nothing. In this case also it returns nothing. So how I can check whether the function has returned some values or not? I can just write over here after the function call. I can say if RET status is not none, that means function has returned something. Because whenever you are not returning any values, okay, or if you just have empty return statement, okay, it will be having just none. So if it is not none, we'll be having some values like this. Else I can just write print function, okay, returns nothing. Okay, so now for our current function, what will happen is it will say function returns nothing because there is no return values at all. So in this case, what I can do is, okay, in this case, what I can do is I can just say return something called status. So over here, I am returning only one parameter. So if I return only one parameter, it takes its own type. For example, if you return string, it will take return type as string. And if you return any integer, it will take it as integer. See here, returns 10 class int. If you return list, this will be taken as a list. Look at this, valid comma 10. Okay, so if you return a single value, it always taking the same reference. Okay, so now consider I am returning multiple values. First I am returning status, then I am returning mobile number, then I am returning something like this, some list like this. So in this case, what will happen? There is over here, I am returning multiple values. Whenever you return multiple values, these values will be taken in the form of tuple. Okay, see here, valid mobile number and then list. So these three will be present inside one class called tuple. So if you want to unpack, you can unpack it. You know how to unpack it, right? So you can unpack it, the respected parameter. Okay, so this is how you can define a function with some parameters, and then you can have multiple return values or single return value. Now consider you want to provide some documentation. What do you mean by documentation? That is, we are giving some information about our function. So documentation can be given in the comment section. But if I want to read the document, I have to open the file and then only I can read it. Without opening the file, I can't read it. Okay, so for that, right, I have something called document string that should be given for entire script or the particular function or the particular class. Now we will see how we can provide the document for entire script and for the particular function. Okay, so I'm just going to have something like this. That is, before the first executable statement, this is my first executable statement, right? Before we have only comments. So before the first executable statement, if you place any document string, that is, if you want to place in multi-line document, you can give it in either single quotes or in double quotes. If you want to place single line document string, you can just place it in single quotes or double quotes. But documentation never ends in single line. Okay, documentation will never end in single line. So you can always give it in 3 single quotes or within 3 double quotes. Okay, but you should give before the first executable statement. Okay, and also if you want to provide the documentation for the function, the documentation should be given before the first executable statement. That should be the first one actually. Okay, so here I can say purpose, validate the mobile number, input mobile number, and then output status. Okay, clear? So before the first executable statement within the function, you have to provide either in single quotes or in double quotes or in 3 single quotes or in 3 double quotes. No problem at all. So if I want to access it, what can I do? I can just access here. First, let me access the module level documentation. Okay, I can say print module level document. I can just give underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. That is, in Python, if you start and end any variable name or any function name with the double underscore, that is nothing but predefined. Variables are auto-populated. You can't populate, that is, it is not required for you to populate the value to those variables. It will be auto-populated. So this is how you can retrieve the document string for the module. See here, module level documentation. So whatever I have given at the top, that will be retrieved as it is. And if you haven't given, no problem, it will not throw any error. It will just retrieve as none. So if the document is present, it will retrieve the document. Otherwise, it will retrieve as none. Now, if I want to provide the function level documentation, I have to say function name dot underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. You have to say function name and then dot underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. So now you can see the function level documentation will be printed. You can see function doc, purpose, validate the mobile number, input mobile number, output status. Got it? Clear? Any doubts, Ajmal?
Yeah, that's fine. So if we
Fine.
have some, it is similar like giving a commands, right? So if we have some other inside that, it will not take only the what we are given before the first line will take as a
Yes,
document.
exactly. So you can
Other
have comments.
comments we can
Will be ignored. Yeah. It will be ignored actually.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
good.
for example, if I place this statement above this, right? Okay. Now this is not a document string now. This will be considered as a comment. So I will be getting as none. See here. Got it right?
Yep.
Yeah. Take it down. And then let me know when to scroll down. I will scroll it down.
Okay, I'm getting some errors.
Okay. So what error you're getting?
Okay. One is invalid syntax.
Okay. So please share your screen.
Yeah, I think it was not showing now, but I think accidentally I pressed something.
Okay, double equal to you have to place there.
Oh yeah, maybe it does. Maybe press backspace. Here, right?
Yeah. So without space, double equal to.
Right.
Yes.
But I have some indentation error, I think.
It is working.
Working, okay.
Yeah.
Initially, when I give here, it
Mhm.
didn't take this one. It took the first line.
Okay.
And it has to take automatically to here, right?
No. The thing is, if you only for the first line, it will take automatically here.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. This one.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said here we can give a empty also, right?
Empty
Without.
also, but that time you can't pass any parameters.
Oh, okay.
Like
Okay.
you are passing mobile number, right? You can't pass that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Got
Right,
it.
man. So we'll take lunch break now.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, 45 minutes, right?
Yeah. I think you are not sharing. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. So I'll be sharing now.
Yeah.
So 2:25 will be back. Okay. Okay, Ajmal.
Yeah. 225, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
2:25.
Okay. Fine. Yeah.
Okay, Ajmal. Talk to you at the time. Bye.
Yeah. See you.
Hi, Ajmal.
Hi, Mohan.
Hi, Ajmal.
Hi.
So had lunch?
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. Had. Okay. So we'll see the different forms of parameters now. Okay. We'll continue with
Okay.
different forms of parameters. Okay. So now let me just define one function. So like DEF, let's say display EMP. Let me have some three parameters like name, location, and then salary. And first one we are going to have, okay, so positional parameters. So in this, I'm just going to write like name, from, location, earns, rupees, salary. Okay, that is, if I pass three parameters, it will just return this particular string. So this one we discussed yesterday, right? This is nothing but formatted string. Okay. So first one we are going to discuss about positional parameters. So that means based on the position, okay, based on the position, the values will be assigned to the parameters. Okay. And here order of parameters should not be changed. You should pass the parameters in the same order. Okay, so I can write print display EMP. Okay, then I'm just giving like Chris, location Pune, and then salary 6,000 like. Okay, now what will happen based on the position of the parameter, the values will be assigned. That is, Chris will be assigned to name, Pune will be assigned to location, and 6,000 will be assigned to salary. And then I'll be getting the output saying like Tris from Pune earns rupees 6,000 like this. Okay. For example, consider I'm just changing the order of the parameter. Like let's say first I am passing Pune, second I am passing 6,000, third I am passing Tris. Now what will happen is Pune will be assigned to name, location will be assigned to 6,000, and Tris will be taking Tris. Sorry, Tris will be assigned to salary. Okay, 6,000 will be assigned to location and Tris will be assigned to salary. Right? So now if I execute this, you can see Pune from 6,000 earns rupees Tris because we are not performing any operation with respect to string. We are just displaying it. That's why it is not giving any error. For example, if I am saying like location dot upper, Okay, so here I'm just writing something like this, that is name dot upper and then location dot upper.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.